So this is such an interesting topic. I just really want the full hour with you. Thank you everyone for joining us and for being here today. My name is Khalil Nevo. You probably saw the emails from me. And I'm the head of community at Juno Journey. I'm really excited to share this session today with Matt Donner. He actually is one of, I think, the first community members, and I think our maybe second event in San Francisco even happened in a place you recommended. So and he's really going to take us through something really cool that he built and some vibe coding and some experimenting and good stuff. I'm very excited for it. And I would like to just very shortly introduce the community and what we do here at Juno, and then we'll jump right in. So 4 minutes tops, and then Matt, it's all about you. So very shortly, our community is called the Learning Table Community. It's a community for L&D, HR, talent development professionals, enablement professionals, anyone who's basically out there trying to make sure their company is succeeding with the manpower and human capital we have. And we just really believe in human connections and learning from each other and supporting each other. So we have a lot of online sessions, workshops, webinars, just like this one today. We have community hubs across the world in the US and in Europe, which are really cool, and some more executive level events. And I personally really love doing some professional matchmaking, my favorite thing. So I call it Match Made in Heaven. And if you ever need something professional, some kind of network connection, I'll be happy to be your girl. And just a few words about Juno Journey very shortly, I promise, and we'll dive right in. It's actually interesting because we're kind of cannibalizing ourselves by having Matt here, to be honest, because he's going to show how we build something that we basically am building as a tool. But since this is what we do, our bread and butter, we know how critical it is to support and help organizations, especially now in the era of AI. But not every organization maybe has the bandwidth for a tool or whatever. So we really believe in seeing what else, like what can you do with every tool you have out there. And I hope to take a few things from you as well, Matthew, today. So I want to talk for a sec about workforce readiness because that's really what our platform is out there to do. So what does that mean? Obviously, we're living in a world that's changing faster than our organizations can even execute, and us as well. And the real question is, where are we right now in supporting our employees with what they really need with this unbelievable change? And if we're talking about what our employees are going through right now, think about a few of these things. For example, the skill tenure really reduced dramatically from years to almost nothing, which basically means we need to continuously upskill ourselves. Everything Matthew's going to show today, probably half of it I haven't even heard of yet. The number of business applications that we're using and the tools themselves keep evolving so and grow so much. We want to make sure that we see business value out of those applications. So that means a lot of training. And obviously, if a lot of other systems are changing and processes are changing, our company can deliver much faster, which means we need knowledge for our people to continuously evolve and change. So basically, our employees need us. But I'm sure you'll know that sorry. What? Sorry. But where most L&D teams are right now is still stuck in the operational side, right? Like doing these reports or updating onboarding path or trying to do whatever you're doing. And that's not supporting the organization where it needs right now. And that's exactly where we try to step in. So we support hundreds of companies with their workforce readiness efforts in what we call the humane era.
Hi.
Hi, you're me for some reason. I have no idea why.
Think
A few
everybody's showing
people
up as
logged in
you.
as me. Sorry about that. You can unmute yourself though, and then if you want to talk, feel comfortable to open the mic. I don't know who's here. Why are you cleaning about? That's so weird. Sorry about that. Um, Interesting who that is. And the way we do it is not by replacing the human factor, but by saying humans still need to hold the strategy in the thinking process, the way to understand our companies, And then we want to make sure you have automated execution, everything orchestrated by Juno, our agent. So basically, by understanding your company focuses and goals, your department needs, your employees' capabilities, Juno Journey really creates the ideal learning and development process for each employee, and she doesn't do it by herself. She has a team of agents. Every one of them focuses on a specific aspect of what your employees' workforce readiness needs right now, from onboarding to manager enablement, compliance, knowledge enablement, priority-driven upskilling, and career management. We do it through two main models. Juno Training, which is basically an AI-powered LMS, automating all the backend admin, and it takes care of content creation, real-time knowledge grabbing, verifying training understanding, automating workflows for you. And the Juno Growth, which is a goal-driven LXP system that turns every performance goal into a personalized development plan, creating career journeys, and automating learning budget management. So this is the last like minute and a half just to show you a sneak peek into how we kind of do it before you see how Matthew maybe did some of it. So first agent I want to show you is Jaden, which is the knowledge creator. So basically, by being fully synced with your company tech stack, evolving knowledge base and HR systems based on your company business goals and unique objectives, Jaden can build within minutes a role-based onboarding, ongoing training, anything you need, making sure your new hires, existing hires are productive, they have the knowledge they need, the skills they need, and every subject matter expert can really execute the knowledge, share it with the organization, making sure everyone have what they need when they need it. So this is one agent. I'm doing it really quickly, trying to. And the second one, my favorite one, Gemma, is all about helping people grow and develop. So based on, again, the same company goals and business tools and employee data, Gemma offers personalized performance goals for each employee. So based on your performance goals and aspirations or your business goals, she basically helps you create, according to your timeline and the way you like to learn, a step-by-step action item list of how to grow, how to get to your goal, and content recommendation to support those efforts, finding you also mentors in the organization, and just really making sure that you don't depend on your manager or the next performance review to really get to where you need. So you kind of have the hands on the steering wheel there to make sure you get to where you need. So that's Juno Journey. And now let's talk about our expert, Matt. And before I introduce Matt and give the stage to him, I do want to say that this is, as I said, part of our community. It's not an official, event where you need to stay quiet or something. You can jump right in, you can ask questions, you can challenge Matt, you can say what you think, you can share your ideas with others. This is really the powerful part of it all, is that we're here together. So if you're not, for some reason, clearly Nevo and can decide you can talk whenever you want, you can use the raise hand whenever you need. You can use the chat. By the way, you guys can introduce yourself and where you're from. Make sure when you write in the chat, do it for everyone and not just the host. And please, the more the merrier. And now, Matthew Donner. A few words about you from me, if that's okay. Yes. So today is a senior learning and development partner that has more than 20 years of experience turning learning into something that actually works in the real world. Faster ramp-up time, better adoption, and real business impact. Matt's journey is not the typical L&D story. He went from being a rock star, still is, to L&D leader and vibe coder, fully living his philosophy, dream it, make it, which I love it. At Credit Karma, he worked across teams like legal, engineering, marketing, and people, building learning experiences that move at the speed of AI. And at Intuit right now, he's continuing to push L&D forward from programs to real strategic impact. I'm really excited about the session today, and I'm going to give the stage to you, Matt. Thank you so much.
Khalil, I've said it before. I'll say it again. If I ever needed a PR person, I'm hiring you first. That's all I'm saying.
You know it.
Hi everyone. My name is Matt. Thanks for coming. It's early here in a Northern California morning. I have prepared what I think will be eye-opening, hopefully inspiring, and I hope that each of you come away from today not only feeling like this is what I'm going to show you and what I built is something that you can also do, but just kind of zoom out. We're going to zoom in and then I'm going to zoom out and just think about where we are in the world and what's happening around us, particularly with AI, and why I'm just so ridiculously excited about what's available. And so bear with me a moment. I'm going to jump in and share my screen. I did prepare a deck. So, Claire, while I'm doing this, if you don't mind, if there's a chat or something, just
There
keep
is.
me.
If there is anyone writing anything there, I'll let you know.
Okay, awesome. So, yeah, Rockstar, let's put that in quotes, first of all. These guitars are real. I did have a career, which I'll show you in a moment, for about 23 years, longer, depending on how far back you want to go in the music business. I ran or co-ran the world's only music production company that was also a music production school. We ran a 1 year full time training program, roughly 2,000 course hours, another 1,800 lab hours, and we turned out professional DJs, composers, sound designers, game sound enthusiasts, people who are now running audio departments at major game companies, while also having built some of those ourselves. I think that this story that I'm going to tell you first is one of the most important because this is what happened when I got out of grad school and I jumped in a van with a bunch of rock and rollers to come out to California to go on tour. And my dad said, when you get out to California, why don't you get some of that information superhighway that Al Gore guy keeps talking about? And I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm going to be a rock star, Dad. I'm going to make rock records. I don't care what any of that is. What he was talking about was the internet, small piece of technology. Maybe you've heard of it. I basically missed it. And what happened in later on, this is the career that I had built from 1996 on. You can see this is our man Paul with an orchestra doing, I think this might have been, this wasn't Halo. This might have been God of War. We've done a lot of video game scores, including Halo. You can see that's me on the right doing the familiar reach. There's something about audio. Whenever you get to see things in music and audio, there's always somebody at the board doing what I call the reach. They're always reaching for a knob. That's Steve, one of our main instructors. We had 33,000 square feet in downtown San Francisco, and we ended up becoming entrepreneurs, producers, and educators. Now, I fell backwards into education because we had a school business. It started as a single 12-week course and grew into an international school. We had students from all over the world. I think you can count maybe 15 countries from which I have not had a student at one point. So we were large and international, and although we didn't offer degrees, we were rivaling places like Berklee College of Music. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of firsts. I had in this environment written 5 books. Here are 3 of them. God knows how many magazine articles. You can even find me on YouTube, a whole bunch of other things. So here, a list of some of the video game titles. If any of you are gamers or have kids, you might recognize titles like Halo or Alvin and the Chipmunks, Iron Man, BioShock, God of War. These are real titles that we either did voice or sound or music or composition or all of the above or implementation. And so this was a huge career. And why this matters is that it blends my 3 favorite things, which are creativity, technology, and education. And the irony is, I'm a terrible student. I'm maybe one of the worst students. And I think it's what makes me a good teacher is because I teach very differently. And that's one of the things that I really appreciate about where we are now is that we have the power to not only make, but to do and to learn and to teach, all using a 24-hour available expert. And so if I just go back here one more moment here, I would just want to make clear my goal here wasn't just to make music. I was making music makers, or I like to say I was producing producers. And I think now that I'm in the technology space here at L&D, it's not that different. When you're doing L&D or you're doing enablement, you're doing upskilling, you're really making makers. You're making people who can do the things that you need them to do or that they want to do or that they have to do. And so I've been at Intuit Credit Karma now for a little over 6 years, and I was originally hired to build an engineering education department. There wasn't one. Um, the biggest win here is we built a boot camp for front end, back end security. And the big metric is we reduced time to first code commit from 47 days to 12. I brought in a brand new LMS at the time. I won't mention its name. Don't, we don't want to talk about that, Cleo.
Thank
Um,
you very much.
good news, bad news there. But it was a big change management project when I had to deploy this to 2,000 people and upskill various teams and departments, do a whole needs assessment, work with the vendor. I did the whole thing soup to nuts, even though we had a procurement department that I didn't know we had. So I basically handed them a completed contract and they were like, who are you? Where did you come from? What did you do? How? Nobody does this. I was like, well, I did. So I have been a captain for what we call GED, Global Engineering Days. It's our hackathon. I run a variety of lunch and learns. And remember, not a software engineer, just work with engineering. When we did the LMS swap, we had an audit by the FTC, which we have every 2 years. It's part of our compliance. The auditor said, we've rarely seen companies switch LMSs and do it so cleanly. That was me. The lawyers didn't back up their stuff. I did. This is one that I think will be very close to everybody's heart. We have career frameworks which define competencies by role, by level. So say, manager one, manager two, et cetera, and all of the competencies that go with. But a competency is not a skill. A skill is a small thing. A competency is a big thing. So I used AI at one point, and it took me several months with a 4-page long prompt. Yeah. To extract skills from every job, every role, every career, every competency at every level. And I developed and made public a skills library leveraging AI. With partnership from the internal mobility team, we also put on goals and career workshops leveraging AI, how to help people find their what, their why, if they wanted to shift careers or move internally. I've published an AI 101, 201 course. I trained under a guy named Darwin Maston, who's a genius. Brought me in early because I missed the internet and I wasn't going to miss AI. I have also run AI ambassador programs where I have helped people map their workflows using AI internally, and then they have to turn around and share that mapped workflow to the rest of their team, creating scaled productivity improvements. Most recently, I took over the manager development training program and streamlined the hell out of the operations, brought it from 170 manual steps to 17. And also ran deep dive business development AI workshops with the biz dev team who were responsible for bringing in most of the revenue for Credit Karma. And over 2 days, we mapped 6 different workflows to AI enabled projects. I've been here over 6 years. I've had 6 roles, 5 managers, multiple promotions, been in 2 different departments, and Lord knows how many projects I've done. I'm actually in the middle of doing one right now. Why this matters to me is that it should showcase one thing over all others, which is I like to not only do things, I like to do things that work, that are measurable, that show impact, and most importantly, are repeatable. This isn't a one and done. This AI 101 sits there and it's trained about 500 people. So I built it once and it's just there running all the time. Now that's common if you're making a course, but it's not common if you're making something else. And again, that's where I think AI becomes extremely empowering. So let's talk about one of the main subjects of today, which is the promise of AI. Let's first talk about all of the other promises that have come and gone before. Now, it's not that they're all, quote, broken. That may be a bit harsh, but they didn't really, in my mind, really deliver on the most critical piece that I think is what we now have at our disposal. When we at Paramind were doing online courses, our whole marketing campaign was very simple. You can take the courses, sure, they're video based. Sure, you can go 24/7 and watch the video over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Are you learning? I don't know. What if you're stuck? What if the video doesn't look like your software? What if you're in a situation that's completely off the rails? You clicked the wrong button, everything fell apart, and now nothing works. What do you do? It's the second line that matters. You can't ask a video a question. That actually became our marketing campaign. And it kind of worked. But if you go back to 15 plus years ago, when you're talking about YouTube YouTube at this point is about 20 plus years. So YouTube, MOOCs, online courses, the promise is you can learn anything, anytime, anywhere. And they weren't wrong, but they weren't really right either. You can't get feedback from a 360 course that you made in Rise. You can't get feedback back from, maybe there's a chat bot, maybe there's a forum. You can ask a question, no guarantee that anybody on the other end is either going to answer or that they're going to have the right answer. The problem was never accessing information. So in a way, my dad was right. I should have jumped on the information superhighway. But in another way, he was wrong because the information is not the learning. And I say this all the time, information is not knowledge. Knowledge is what you can do based on what you know. Information is just what you know. And if you can't do anything with it, it's not really all that valuable. And it's great at conversations, great at parties. Who cares? With AI, I think that a lot of this goes away because your video isn't a video, but it can answer your question and it answers it really well. And to me, that's what the promise is. The promise is that the one-way wall of frustration of information coming to you with no work going back and no feedback, that's gone. We don't have to deal with that anymore. It's something that, and to be honest, what you should have noticed in the demo that Khalil put on is that Juno itself is that instructor. You can be taking the courses and the information comes to you, but then you get to turn around and go back to it and have a question and an answer and a conversation. And all the information is already in there. It also can help structure that information in a way that's important for your learner. And that's another piece that I think is extremely powerful here. So just want to point out, not cannibalizing here. Pay attention to this phrase. We're going to alter it a little bit later. But you can now learn at the speed of conversation. Not the speed of the video, not the speed of your ability to read an online course or a book. You can learn at the speed of conversation in the same way you're out there with a human talking to people, which I think is still a valuable skill and probably going to be more valuable. But you can learn at the speed of conversation. Now, 3 roads lead to the future, and we all get to pick which one we're on. I know what road I'm taking. I'm hoping to inspire you all to join. And it kind of looks like this. In the last Juno session, I was the last speaker, and we kind of ran out of time. I didn't get to go too far into this. Here are 3 roads to the future. By the way, that's us. I don't know why it's a man and not someone else, but I said professional, and this is what AI had. So you can already see there's some bias going on. If you go left, it's a really open road. It's known construction materials, and it leads to this nice, peaceful little place out here. This is doing the same thing you're doing and have been doing for the last 15, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. It leads to a place where not much happens. You could take the middle path. It's shiny, it's sturdy, it's steel, it's got these strong, it leads to the shining city on the hill. Well, guess what? It's very crowded there, and it's going to be very hard to stand out. This is following along with what's happening today and doing what everybody else is doing. And that's a lot of what's happening in AI right now. Everyone's telling you how to write this prompt, that prompt, the other prompt to do this tiny little thing that you're working on, and you're not really solving any problems. You're just moving work around. I don't know who you all are out there. I don't know which road you're thinking about. I don't know if you're worried or confused or concerned about the future. But my recommendation would be do the hard thing. It's what I've done my entire career, and it's made all the difference. Now, you can see this one goes up to the clouds. It's the only one that goes up, but it's unknown. We don't know what's out here. That is not looking very stable. There's a lot of weird energy going on in the rocks. So this might be frightening, but it shouldn't be. This is the challenge that's in front of us. The whole thing here is challenge accepted. This is the challenge. Now I want to flash back a little bit to, geez, I guess it was December. It was just after our last Juno talk where I was talking about Three Roads to the Future for the few minutes that I had left at the end. And it struck me that for 6 years, I've been doing engineering education and I've never done engineering. And everybody around me is doing all this vibe coding. What the hell vibe coding is? Like these 14-year-olds are making apps that are making millions of dollars. Why can't I? I'm going to go ahead and do it. Now, you might remember that I'd said I did a 2-day deep dive with the business development people. And somewhere in there, one of the directors said, you know what? I don't ever want to make a deck again. I just don't want to ever make decks again. Can you help me figure that out, Matt? Can you make something that can make me my deck and put it in the company branding template? I was like, well, I don't know. Let me think about that. And so I started building something, and I was doing it exclusively in Gemini not with agents, with gems. And it was a fail, 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 fail. It would be like I took this road and just kept falling off, falling off, falling off, falling off, falling off. So then I said, well, okay, December comes. I had seen what Juno was doing with Gemma and some of the agents that were going on there, and I was inspired. I was like, wow, well, if they can do that, man, let me see if I can just build this silly little deck maker. Okay, fine. The one thing I realized here is that it didn't matter whether I was teaching music or teaching tech, is that you change the subject, but all of the other learning processes are the same. And so I applied that to myself. It's like, well, I have this AI tool that kind of already knows everything. It knows how to do it. Other people are doing it. Maybe I should just ask it and say, this is what I want to do. Can you help me? Like, what's the best way to go? Because I have no clue. I've never done this before. Never built anything with, I mean, I've project managed, sure, designed, sure, but never hands on. So the parallel here is that if you're making music and you don't have to use, say, a band, and you could just do it all in software. I mean, that was my career. I was doing it. I was teaching other people to do it. It's like if you knew how to play and you knew how music worked and you knew software, like you can make anything. I was like, well, maybe it's the same with AI. I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years. Surely I'm smart enough to talk my way into a thing. Uh, and it turned out that I was. Now, what I'm showing you here is that after I failed with all of those gems, and I'll talk about gems if we have time at the end, but after I failed with all of those, I went back and I said, all right, I got to take a different approach. And I said, I tried it with this. It's not working. Give me another approach. And it's like, well, you really just need to build an app, Matt. It's like, huh, okay. So I started having a conversation with Gemini. It was on my personal laptop, not my work laptop, because too many security protocols, too much to deal with. I was like, well, let me just see if I can build it over here. So I got it started. I was talking to Gemini, and I was like, well, where do I put the code? I was like, oh, well, I heard about this cursor thing. I don't know what cursor is. Well, go get cursor. I got cursor. Someone said, go get cursor. I got cursor. What's cursor? I don't know. All right, well, whatever. So copy the code, paste it in the cursor. I'm getting it started, getting it going. At the same time, I took a course on Terminal in Udemy, and I took a course on Python in Udemy, and I made it maybe 5% through the second module out of 14. I was like, this is too slow. I'm never going to get what I want. And I was like, oh, you know what? There's that promise. There's that promise. Not working for me. I told you I'm a terrible student. I needed a certain way. Video, it's good for context. It's good for frameworks. And we can talk about diataxis if you want to. If you don't know what diataxis is, look it up. It's brilliant the way it structures the way information should be. So I went back to Gemini and said, okay, here we go. And I had this massive chat with Gemini. And I was actually seeing progress on a free account. And I ran out of tokens and I hit the wall. And Gemini said, oh, hi, Matt. I'm Alex, your Gem. What are we doing today? I was like, wait, What? We've been talking for a week and a half, like multiple hours a day. What are you saying? It's like, oh, well, looks like you ran out of tokens. And usually when that happens on your free account, the chat starts over. Starts over. Yeah, all of that work gone. So I had to start over. And thankfully, I had code. So I took the code. I was like, well, look, this is what you've been helping me build. Read it. Tell me, maybe you can catch yourself up. And it read it and it said, oh, looks like you're making a thing that makes text. Oh, sure. I know what's going on here. I was like, then I had the chat that kept it going. What I'm showing you on the right here is that second chat, I copied and pasted the whole thing into a Google Doc, single spaced. The second chat filled 423 pages. That's a very long conversation. And that's how far you have to go just to get off the starting line. Now, the good news is it was kind of working. I do want to pause here for a moment because I'm going to show you some other workflows in a moment, and then I'll show you the tool. But early in my career, I was at a seminar with this guy, Bruce Swedian, who was the recording engineer for Michael Jackson. Huge career, extremely well-respected guy, Bruce Swedian. And Bruce said, you know, no one ever walks out of the record store humming the name of the microphone. I was like, it's not about the tools. It's not about the tools. It's about the music. It's about the work. It's about the product. So use whatever tool gets you there. If you're waiting to get started and you're just like, well, I don't know what tool to start with, just pick one. I used Gemini and Cursor. Gemini because it's what I had access to. And I didn't much like ChatGPT at the time because it's just the speed at which it operates is too fast and actually exhausts my brain. Gemini was a much better pace for me at the time. I now use Claude, but it's not about the tool. So the point is I was doing a tool over here and then a tool over here, and I was getting things done. So just pick a tool and get started. And then this is the build. This is the demo. So I'm going to switch laptops here for a moment. Let me back up. Before I switch laptops and actually show you the product, I've got something pre-made. Let me just tell you that when I had that conversation with the director of the business development department who says, I just don't want to make decks anymore. I just don't want to do it. Make AI do it for me. Was basically, he was like, make it go away. Make this problem go away. Okay, sure. I have no idea what I'm doing, but let me give it a shot. So December comes, we do the session, I get started. Somewhere around January, I actually had some success. But the goal was for the user experience, which is what it all comes down to. The user experience was, I just want to give this thing a simple prompt, maybe some raw data. I just want to dump my stuff in, push a button. I want it to tell a story, convert that story into slides, and then push it to my Google template that the company has branded. The API piece at the end was one of the more technical pieces, but it really wasn't that hard. And to be honest, Gemini knew exactly what to do and guided me through, and it was very easy. The trick here is converts to slides. Now, I have a very particular way in which I think slide templates should be used. There's a certain piece of communication that belongs on a certain template for a certain reason. And AI on its own basically disregards that. And it just throws things on slides willy-nilly. So I wanted something to be a little more designed than that. When I saw what Juno was doing, I also got inspired, turned around and said, you know what? I think we want to make some things globally controllable. So I gave the user a tone of voice, a length, a depth, and multiple narrative checkpoints. I want to don't just want to turn it over to AI. I want you to actually think and interject yourself. You're still important. And I want this to be yours, not Claude's or Gemini's. Okay. Now, you can use things like it turns out there are a lot of people who've already solved this problem where you can turn whatever you want into a PowerPoint format and then import that, but it still doesn't work exactly the same way. And the whole idea is to do it all in a single workflow. So now I'm going to jump laptops here. Bear with me. And I'm going to introduce you to DeckMaker. Now, here it is. This is the global config stuff on the left. So you have these settings. You can do Credit Karma Green or Intuit Blue, and this is Credit Karma Green, and this is Intuit Blue. And so Intuit owns Credit Karma, so I wanted people to have the choice of going one way or the other. So you pick your color. I'm going with green for today. And then you have your tone. The tone comes in three choices. Your executive, which is, just the facts. Technical new feature or process. This is an explainer. So we in L&D, this is kind of our home base. But then I also know that I work a lot with engineers, and they might want to do a technical show. I had also run lunch and learns for engineering for 4 years, and so I know that the way that they like to do their delivery sometimes deeply technical. So you get your choice, and if you're not sure what it is, you can always hover over this, and it'll tell you. You pick your depth. I want to do a deep dive. I want to do a standard. I want to do a high level and overview. So maybe a high level and an executive gets you a really small thin. You just want to show you 2-3 slides, get in, get out. I've only got 10 minutes with this person. I went with new feature and deep dive for today's demo. You can pick your slide length, including micro, because the site ops people wanted it. I just want to take my data, push it in, show like this is what happened with the SI, and this is what got fixed. Okay, cool. If things aren't working well, I have built 30 different data sets with which you can use to test. If you're a marketing person, want to see how it goes, cool. Climate research, competitive intel. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff in here if you just want it. Because I'm still building, I'm still testing, and I just found that this was faster. You can drag and drop your files here. That's your raw data. That's what the guy wanted. You can also do some background material. Now, you might recognize some of this phrasing because this is the conversation for today's talk, which is right here. I just copied it and pasted it. This is what you've seen in your email that got you to sign up, that brought you in here. So I said, okay, well, this is what I'm talking about. And then here's how silly my prompt is. Tell me how L&D and HR folks can leverage AI as vibe coders. That's it. No crazy acronyms, no crazy prompting, no crazy context role, blah, 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 all the acronyms that people are filling LinkedIn with. None of that. Again, this is the idea. My customer, my user, business development director wanted it simple. So we got this. You push this button and you get a narrative. And if you don't like it, you can interact with it and refine it. Then it makes you a deck. Now, this is a CSS mockup, but you get the idea. And I want you to note that when we have a big statement, it puts it on the big statement slide. These are bullet points. It intelligently chose the 3-column for 3 different things to compare, and then a quote, and now a 2-column, back to a 3-column, back to a bullets, to a conclusion. This is what I think most AI tools don't do on their own, is intelligently choose the right slide for the right piece of information. And then I have a refinement, and it gives me a score. 10 out of 10 for clarity, 10 out of 10 for narrative. For the record, the first phase was 8.5 and 9. So it also will tell you what it fixed. Each of these phases is an agent. The agents live, if I can bring you over here. Don't get scared by this. This is just another place where code lives. I don't know what I'm doing in here, but notice this is just Claude. Claude knows what it's doing. That's the work. And so if I go back, and then when you're done, you get a polished deck and a link, and it looks like this. Now here's the killer part. That narrative become your speaker notes. So with a couple of button pushes, you can go from a simple prompt with some background information and some settings to a branded, in template, well laid out, intelligently thought through deck that's 80% done. And now you go through and do all of your refinements. So let me switch back to my laptop here, which is here. Get back into my show. This is again the three phases. I get an input. There's an agent that processes this. And by the way, when I say agent, you should hear persona pattern or persona, because the agent is basically a prompt that says, when you get X, act as a blah and do blah. Okay. It processes it, converts it, chooses the right slide, breaks it all up, sets a narrative, and then pumps it out into the final thing. So this is a multi-agent orchestrated AI tool. Yeah, okay. It's basically three standing set of prompts that knows what to do because it took me months to train it, but I trained it and now it knows what to do. And now it's automated. And that was the product. Now, I ended up going through three different workflows. This is where I started. Gemini over here, Cursor over here, copy paste, and the back and forth was a huge waste of time. I was being successful. It works, but it was a huge waste of time because Gemini really didn't know what was going on in the code unless I copied it and pasted it. And it was telling me things like, take this line of code and paste it on line 245. Well, 245 looks very different over here than it does over here. So I wasted a lot of time, and a lot of other things blew up. Then I went with Cursor alone because it has its own agents, it has its own AI. I didn't like it. And now I'm using something called VS Code, which is just like Cursor. It's just a place where code lives. And it's got Claude right next to it. I showed you that. And it's by far the best workflow. Very fast, very easy, awesome. And I told you to pay attention to that other line because now it's that you can build at the speed of conversation. First, you can learn. Now you can build at the speed of conversation because that's what I did. And I know it can be done because I just did it and I'm doing it again. The 6 big takeaways. We're nearing the end here. Step 1 is just do it. Nike is right. Just do it. Get off the couch and just go to whatever tool you have. This happens to be Gemini on the right. This happens to be a gem. It's nothing more than a place where you can hide and hold instructions, which really is a persona. It's a little bit more than that, but for the most part, it's just a persona. And I built Alex. I didn't name it Alex. It named itself Alex. I don't know why, but whatever. It's Alex. So a principal software architect who is a master at not only writing code and building code and testing code, but teaching me how to start doing code. Because there's that promise being fulfilled. If you run into problems at work, start something on your personal laptop. And nobody's going to give you permission. Just start. Remind yourself there are also no guardrails. Failure is a feature, not a bug. You will fail. Get up and do it again. Be brave. If you're not sure, ask it. This is by far the most powerful thing, short of making a gem or a set of instructions or a GPT or a project, depending on what tool. This is the most powerful thing that you can do. If you do not know, ask it. Don't be shy. Raise your hand. Ask the question. But be specific. How do I turn into a vibe coder is not as useful as I've never written code before, and I think I want to build a tool that does X, Y, and Z, but I have no idea how to start, and I'm not even sure what infrastructure I need. How do I get started? Very different question. Be specific. I told you that I hit the context wall and it erased my chat. Now, the second chat was 423 pages. How long do you think the first one was? I don't know. I would guess more because I was hot and heavy. And when I yelled at it and I said, I can't believe you just, lost my chat. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Well, 2 weeks later, it made a code change for the sake of being efficient. And it deleted 4 pieces of functionality. And I lost hours of work and then more hours trying to put it all back because it wanted to be efficient. Don't trust it that much. Now, what was funny is that after I yelled at it, its prompt responses were very short and very tight. At first, I was like, this is going to be great for you, Matt. And then it was like, here you go, Matt. It was like a dog that was mad with his tail between its legs. It was kind of funny. Make sure you save your stuff at all times. Branch your code. If you don't know what that means, ask it. It knows what it means. Save, 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 and save. And don't stop. I have said this exact conversation to almost every single one of my music students. You will fail. You will write garbage. You will not know what to do. Keep going. If you lose your work, start it again. Don't ever stop. Nobody sits down at the computer, pushes four buttons, and makes a piece of genius work. It takes relentless hours of effort. It's the same here. Get started, folks. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. These are my happy robots. Start tonight. Make a friend.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Matt. I have a question. Someone who had to drop off sent me, but is there anyone here that wants to ask Matt any question at all? Anything? Feel free. We
Oh,
have like the last 10 minutes.
yeah. Hope I didn't scare anyone.
Maybe you're quite scary.
Yeah.
Okay. If you do want, please just use the raise hand so I can give you like permission to talk, which is really
Yeah.
teacher. Um, but so we had so this is the question that
Yeah.
I got. So he says, our stakeholders are reactive, and we end up measured more on content production than on behavior change. We end up being reactive as well, reducing our systems to output more than outcomes. So, what do you think needs to change in behavior, environment, and incentive for L&D to move from just course creators to kind of like more performance consultants? That's how we called it.
Yeah, that's $1 million question. It's the difference between being an L&D strategist or an L&D executor versus an L&D partner. We battle this all the time. I'm literally battling this right now. First of all, as you all know, behavior change is hard and it's a long, slow road, but it requires constant effort. And the one of the first and best things that I think you could do is make sure that your leadership, not so much your stakeholders, but your leadership recognizes the value of partnering early. And you have got to socialize that value set often and early. Um, Most stakeholders think L&D is a staple on. That you just kind of do the work and then last minute bring L&D into staple on training. And that, people going through courses is just going to work. Because I think somewhere along the line, people have this checkbox mentality. And it's really important that if you are wanting to change behavior and you are wanting to focus on outcomes, the earlier you can get in the process, the better. And if a stakeholder comes to you and says, well, I just need it done, you can say, great, what's your outcome? What's your level 5? What's your level 4? I find that hitting them with Kirkpatrick kind of changes the conversation very quickly. What do you mean level 4? I just need this training done. Well, if you just want people to check a box, okay, fine, sure. I can just take your docs, drop it in a Juno and push a button and boop, I got a course. Let my agents do the work for me. Great, I can have it for you in a couple hours. How's that sound? If that's all you want, sure. Terrific. What are you going to do when you come back to me and say it didn't work? That's another chop that I really like. Um,
Mhm.
Behavior, when it walks in the front door, we changed our department from, let me actually get out of this and just talk to people here. We changed our entire department from like a fully reactive company or department to like in the maturity model, like level 4, where we have off the shelf solutions that you can just hand to people if that's what you want. We just grab it, hand, boom, off you go, like a store clerk. We also changed our work and we don't do that anymore. And we told people up front, you have to fill in a request form if you want to even talk to us. And that sort of exclusivity approach starts to work. People start getting the point that you're not some, like, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, jump how high. Like, we're not your soldiers. We are your partners. And you have to bring us in early. It will take time, and there will be times where you'll just have to, and jump. But the more you work with a stakeholder and let them know that they shouldn't expect anything other than a piece of content, If that's all they want, then sure, we can give you a piece of content. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be great. It's going to take me no time at all to put together. Like I say, what are you going to do when you come back to me and because it didn't work? So get in early as much as possible. Get your leadership to talk to their leadership to make sure that they see you as an early partner, not a late partner.
Love it.